Okay, folks. So, I'm out of center. Okay. Maybe? Okay, there we go. So, welcome back. I'm gonna talk about more data types because in the last video you got to experience. Okay. Now, maybe? Cool. You got to experience. Sorry, there's a very narrow window. Okay. You get to experience why data types and paying attention to data types are important. So now, let's actually learn about them. Data types. Cool. So there are tons of data types. But we're going to focus on logical, double, integer, and character. There are more. We may cover them a little, but this is where we're starting. Okay, so logical. These are Booleans. These are essentially true and false. That's all they are. And you can always check what a data type is by saying type of. Now for character are strings. So these are just letters, numbers, whatever, but they are just treated as, well, text. They're not processed. You could put R code in them, but they are treated just like text. Can't run numbers on them. Even if there's a number in it, like we saw with the cat stuff. Okay, so double. These are floating numerical point values. So this is the default numerical type. So this is the data type where you can actually have fractions and things. And it's the default. So as you can see in my illustration with type of 7 is double. But if you say, you can also do them as integers. Excuse me. I love my job. But yeah, so integers are numerical values as well. You might actually get to hear this really nicely. Yeah. All right, but back to me. These are typically whole numbers. And if you want to force it to be an integer, you can just add an L at the end. Do I know why it's an L? No. I'll eventually learn. But right now, at the time of this filming, so yeah. Cool. Oh. Alright. So, vectors. We can make a vector. So that's like column data using the C function, which is concatenate. And what this does is it smushes stuff together, kinda. So you can concatenate numbers, both double and integer types, by just putting the C around it to make it concatenate. You can do it with strings. You can also concatenate concatenations, but these end up getting flattened out to just be a single thing. So like this hi, hello, by Jello. Yep. You can flatten them out. When you make vectors all have to be the same data type. So vector would get very unhappy if you gave it a string and a number, like hello 1. It's not going to be happy. But anyway, so we can convert between types, and we can do this deliberately, so with intention. So here we've created 3 integers, 1 through 3, and so we've created type of, it's an integer. We can convert this manually by saying as.character, which converts our data from whatever it is into a character. So here we've got as of character of X, and it turns each of those elements into a string. And that string, so when we process Y, we now have a character. But you can also do it unintentionally. Oh, I lied. I have more illustrations of with intention. You can do this with true. You can convert logical types into numeric types. And so you can go from true, false. Now true ends up being a 1, false is a 0. And you can get double out. But you can also do this without intention. So R will happily convert between various types without complaining. Of all the things it doesn't complain about, that it should complain about. So without complaining, when different data types are put into a vector. And honestly, this is not a great thing. So when you smush together 1 and hello, you will get a string for 1. And so it'll convert both into a string. But say you want to smush together false and an integer, you get something a little different. And here we can do the same thing. It will convert it. It's kind of, and if you look here, I can't tell straight off the bat if this conversion right here has turned us into an integer or double. So, yeah, and it's good to know what's actually happening. So do stuff intentionally is what I'm trying to say here. So let's give some formal names for what we've seen so far. So explicit coercion is when you call a function like as logical, as numeric, as integer, as double, or as character. You're doing it intentionally. Versus implicit coercion, which happens when you use a vector in a specific context that expects a certain type of vector. So this one, I mean, you can kind of bank on and kind of, like if you know it's going to implicitly do it the way you want, sure, you can save yourself a little time. But sometimes R changes that stuff because why not? So I definitely encourage you to be very explicit with your data types. It'll save you a lot of surprises and heartache. Now it's your turn. So in our activity on data types, I want you to try it out with type coercion, RMD file, and knit it up and try and figure out what is the type of all these different vectors. So as an example, suppose we want to know what the type of 1A is. We know that type 1 is a double. We also know that type of A is a character. And so we can make a guess and kind of smush them together based on what these are. And my guess would have been character, because that's R likes to, if there's a character, everything's a character. And then check. But it's your turn to do that. So wrapping up, I'll see you in a bit. Hi. Archie says bye too. Sorry, he was asleep. Okay, so I'll see you later. Bye.